friends, this video is for our 2-year-old room for August, week 4. All month long, our bottom line has been, who is powerful? God is powerful. And our memory verse, is great is our Lord and mighty in power. Psalm 147:5. We've been talking about God being powerful all month long, and this week we are hearing the story not of Daniel and the lion's den, but of Daniel's food. Where Daniel challenges the king. The king wants him to eat all this lavish, unhealthy food. And Daniel challenges him to say, I'm going to eat this healthy food that God has provided. And our story focus says, God's power helps me make the right choice. So, God's power helps me make the right choice. Week 4, we will hear Daniel's story and how God's power helped him make a hard but right choice. Doing the right thing isn't always easy, but God will help us make the right choice and obey him. So jumping into our leader guide for the week, you have a couple activities that you can do before you head out to large group. The first one is called pom-poms in the cone. So I've got everything in this bucket. There's 2 sets of cones, so you can set them up on either end. If you don't have a ton of kids, you can just set up one set. And then I have 6 of each color pom-pom. You can leave the pom-poms in the bin and set the cones up on the carpet. So what you're going to do is you're going to encourage the kiddos to put the pom-poms in the cone with the matching color, because our cones are colored. And you're going to talk about making the right choice. So you're going to say, okay, friends, come stand with me by this bucket of pom-poms. Look at all of these. You guys are going to choose which one of these cones to put each pom-pom in. So each cone has a different color, and we're going to put the pom-poms in the matching color. And then you'll pick up a pom-pom at a time and ask them if it makes sense, and having them put them in the right one. And you're going to say, now you guys are going to work together and match the pom-poms to the cone. And then say, today we're going to hear a story about someone who has the power to help us make the right choice, just like you guys made the right choice of putting the right pom-poms in the right cone. And then another activity that you can do before you go to large group, these cards are up here in the bin. They're little matching cards. So there's a frog, there's a flower, and a couple other pictures, a truck and something else. So there's 2 of each picture. So you're going to lay them all out mixed up but face up, and you're going to have kids help you make matches. So you're going to say, let's work together to make matches. I see pictures of a frog, a crane, a king, and a flower. So there are 2 of each picture. When it's your turn, you're going to choose 2 cards that match. You say, okay, Lola, come on up, and I want you to pick 2 cards that match. Say, great job, can you tell me what's on your cards? And then just let every kid go and say, great job, we found all the matches. Well, one of our pictures is a king. And today in our Bible story, we're going to hear about a king and a young man. And the young man had to choose between doing what the king said and doing what God said. So who do you think he chose? And then you can head out to large group where you will hear the story of Daniel and the food and helping him make the right choice. And then when you come back, your memory verse activity is just called muscles. And so you're going to have kiddos sit in a big circle, and you're going to encourage kids to do muscle poses as you say the memory verse with them. So, just muscles with their arms. You're going to say, God is powerful. So let's show our power while we say our memory verse. Let's show our muscles, and then say the memory verse with the muscles and say, you guys look so strong and powerful. And our memory verse tells us that God is super powerful. Who's powerful? God's powerful. And then there's a couple little review activities that you can do. The first one is called Time to Eat, and everything that you need for it is in this bin. You got a tablecloth, a crown, some fancy plates, a water bottle, and then you got a bunch of food down in this bin that is on the counter. So for this Time to Eat activity, what you're going to do is you're going to use the supplies to act out the Bible story. You're going to wear the crown and be the king, and the kids are going to be the king's helpers who are in training. And you're going to encourage them to help you set the table with the tablecloths and the plates and the food. And once it's set, you're going to tell everybody to sit at the king's table and pretend to have a fancy dinner. And you're going to let the kids take turns playing the role of Daniel by giving them the water bottle. And the kid will hold up the water bottle and say, I'm doing what God said. And you're going to talk about how God's power helped Daniel make the right choice and do what God said. And God's power can help us to all make the right choice. So I'm just going to say, okay, friends, we're going to tell the Bible story together using these things. I'll be the king, and you guys are going to be the king's helpers in training. So can you guys help me set the table for our fancy dinner? The king in our story wanted all of his workers to be the very best. That's why he told them to eat his fancy food. So you guys can sit down at the king's table, and let's pretend to eat. Now there was one person who did not eat the king's food, and his name was Daniel. He knew that God wanted him to eat different foods. So let's take turns being Daniel. When I give you this water bottle, you're going to say, I'm doing what God said. And then you're going to go around and pass it around to each kid and say, God's power helps Daniel to do the right thing, and God's power can help us do the right thing too. I'm so glad we have God's power to help us. So tell me, who's powerful? God's powerful. And then when you're done with that, you can do a little food sort. There's 3 hula hoops, and there's 3 different colored foods, orange, red, and green. So what you're going to do is you're going to challenge the kids to sort the food into the circles by color families. And then you could do it again with big, medium, small, and you're just going to say it however you want to do it. Today in our Bible story, Daniel chose his food. Let's choose our food too. I've got 3 circles on the floor, and we're going to put foods that are green in one circle, red in another circle, and orange in another circle. And then you're just going to have them sort the food and say, that was so much fun. God's so powerful that he gave us food. Who's powerful? God's powerful. And then the last activity is their little craft for this week. So we actually just got a bunch of hard hats. And the kids are each going to put one of these labels on the front of their hard hats that says God is powerful. And then each kid can get a strip of star stickers, and they can put the star stickers on their hat. Obviously, we want to put their name on their hat too. And that is it for their craft this week. And then they can put their hard hat on and say our memory verse again. Great is our Lord and mighty in power, because God is powerful. So that's it for this week, friends. Thank you so much for serving in our 2-year-old's room. Everything you need is set up and ready to go. I am so grateful for each and every one of you. Thank you guys for serving, and I'll see you on Sunday.